Hey, what's up? It's your boy BobbySapphire, and today we're going to talk about putting your opponents in check. That's an endgame scenario in Star Wars Unlimited, akin to chess, where we set up the game so that we can kill our opponent in one move. It's like playing Dejarik instead of droid boxing. Let's check it out. All right, if you're not familiar with chess, check is a situation that comes up in games of chess where you make a move and your opponent is going to lose the game. They're going to lose their king in the next move. So they either have to move their king or they have to move another piece to capture the piece that's checking their opponent or find a way to block it. In this situation, someone moved their bishop to capture the king. In this scenario, I would probably move my knight to block it. I don't know. I don't play chess. But you see there, you move the knight out. Now the bishop can no longer take the king. And if they do decide to trade with your knight, it's going to get taken by a pawn. So that's check in chess. How does that relate to Star Wars Unlimited? Well, that's simple. It's when our op can kill us in just one attack. We've got to either stop them, block them, or heal out of losing. Oftentimes, we have to claim for initiative and possibly top deck an answer. So that's what I mean when I say putting people in check. And this came up recently because my boy Stevie Getz, who you probably know, top 8'd in the Denver sector, I think he should have made top 4 because he had an opportunity to put eventual champion Daniel Hall in check with a Fleet Lieutenant home 1 attack to the face. Let's check it out. All right, I apologize for the grainy image, but this is going into the 10 resource turn. Yes, 10 resources. You could see that both players have a pretty substantial board out. Key, though, is Daniel on the bottom has a Radiant 7. Now, Steve has a Fleet Lieutenant in hand. He has a shielded home 1. The first thing that Daniel does is he attacks the Zagarian to pop the home 1 shield. Steve puts the damage on his Fleet Lieutenant, and this is a huge red flag for me. Daniel uses that opportunity to use his once per turn exhaust action with Django. He can no longer exhaust anything else for the turn with that leader. Steve's holding a Fleet Lieutenant. Daniel's at 18. A Fleet Lieutenant attack from the home 1 not only puts him to 3 HP remaining, but it allows Steve to present a check situation where he's got lethal in space and he's got lethal on the ground in the other Fleet Lieutenant. That would put Steve at 19. He's playing a 33-point base. He has so much life to work with from there. And Daniel has a big board and a bunch of resources unspent. But the point is that he had an opportunity to put Daniel within 3 life. That means Daniel has to either clear the entire board or leave Steve open for actions. And since Steve had Shielded Sentinel on the ground and a 7/7 in space with Restore, it's a tall task. Now, obviously, a lot of things can happen in the course of a game after just one action like this. But here, Steve takes his home 1 and he kills the Radiant 7. He takes the Radiant 7 off the board. Again, Daniel's at 18. Steve does not do damage to face, so that leaves Daniel at 12 HP. Steve's board is very neutered, just a Fleet Lieutenant, just a Village Protectors, and if we skip ahead, we'll see when the game eventually ends a few turns later, Steve has only done 2 more damage on the base. He's got no board. Daniel has 5 units out, including a Devastator, and Steve never had an opportunity to push any more damage in that game. And I don't bring this up to shoot daggers at Steve, although that's the way he's going to take it, because I know Steve, and he's been sweating over this moment. I still think he did amazing. But it gave me an opportunity to explain to him how doing that 9 damage to base, putting his opponent at 3 HP, while sticking 2 3/3s on the ground plus 2/2 meant that was probably too many units for Daniel to actually be able to take out. And then Steve would have been able, because Django Tarkentown doesn't have any restore, Steve would have been able to finish that game out by pushing damage. He would have flipped from being the defender, which he tried to do to no avail here in the final 3rd game set of the top 8, and he would have become the aggressor, forcing Daniel, who's playing a deck not built to be on defense, to try and defend 3 damage from happening to his base, which is a very tall task when you have a shielded Village Protectors and a home 1 and 2 Fleet Lieutenants on the board. So what I would have wanted Steve to do is put Daniel in check. And in a lot of cases, when you have check in the ground and space arenas, that can actually be checkmate. That can be a situation that your opponent can't get out of. So the thing that I'm asking everyone to think about today, the reason why I'm making this video, is for you to think about how to put your opponent in check, how to get into a situation where you can present a board state that your opponent cannot deal with. They cannot survive if they don't claim, and oftentimes they're claiming, hoping to find something that they don't have. So again, the key here is putting someone in a position where they can no longer attack your base. Putting someone in check means they have to move out of it. They have to kill all your units, they have to heal, they have to somehow block your attacks. If you've played Sabine or any aggro deck before, you know that sometimes you need to think about the math of your turns 2-3 turns in advance. This allows you to get someone to check quickly. Not everyone thinks this way. For a lot of us, we probably know about check or probably thought about it in some nebulous form. But what I'm trying to say here is one of the strongest things you can do is figure out how to put someone in check on a regular basis, no matter what deck you're playing, control, aggro, whatever. The best way to get someone into check is to use pumps. Events like Surprise Strike, Punch It, Breaking In, those are great for one-time bursts. They can be great if you can follow them up with the second one, but we all have been in that situation where it's like, oh, we need to, or maybe our opponent needs to top deck a Surprise Strike for the win. Did they get it? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. What can be really great is perma-buffing your attacks, and we can do that with Hot Shot Blaster. I think that's a trump card here. That's why so many yellow decks play this as a 3 of. It's just absolutely insane to play it out of your row, keep it in the cut for when you need it. This is one of the reasons why Han decks are so good, because not only are they hitting for 6 or maybe 8, if they've got Han unit out, but then it also presents a huge body that you have to deal with before they hit you for 6 or 8 again, and then no life total is really safe from that. I love units that buff attack and then leave a body on the board. Fleet Lieutenant, Snowtrooper Lieutenant, Adelphi Patrol Wing. I couldn't really think of a fourth one, so I put Leia Organa in there. She does it, right? A little less so. But these cards, just like in the example I showed with the home one up above, putting a Fleet Lieutenant out, hitting for 9, putting your opponent at 3 life. You've got a 3/3 body on the ground, a much bigger body in the sky. Can they deal with both? Well, they have to, or else you're going to win. They can't take any more actions. That's check. All right, another thing you can do is attack the base early, and I don't mean early in the game, but early in the turn. The sooner you put someone into check in a turn, the sooner they have to claim, and that allows you to take more actions. I do what I call a systems check phase. This is like a phase I think a lot of people do this when they calculate life totals, or maybe they're thinking ahead. But this is what I do when I think about, all right, how much damage can my opponent do to me, and how much of that can I stop? How much can I do to my opponent's base, and how much of my damage can they stop? When you take some time to do this every turn, you can figure out when you have that opportunity to attack the base early and put them into check. The sooner they have to claim, the more actions you get to take post-claim. That's when you get to do things like play a Falcon untapped, or play a Cassian out of your row, hit for 3 more, or throw a tech out from your row and now present an insanely large hand with who knows how many pumps in your resource row. So think about that systems phase. Add it into your repertoire of how you're treating your turns right after you untap ready your resources. This is one of those things that you really need to set up, because if you attack base too early, your opponent might have too many things on the board that can actually take out all your things, and you don't actually put someone into check. In fact, it's often that if you go face too quickly and you don't put enough on the table, your opponent can kill all of your stuff and you'll never hit face again. So it's really important to set up check by playing into both arenas and removing units that can trade you out. And that's why it's sometimes not a great play to go into check too early. If in a deck like Sabine, where you can play damage out of hand for a cause I believe in, you've got the Sabine paying, you can ECL a Wrecker or something, then you can kind of sell out your board state. But a lot of times, if we really want to put someone into check, we want things in both arenas. We want to make it very difficult to kill. That means trading out units that can free value kill you back. If you can trade with something, kill something and lose your guy, and that unit would have killed without dying back, that can be something that you want to eliminate. You don't want your opponent, obviously, to kill your guys for free. So play into both arenas, get space and ground going, and then make sure you're in a position to actually attack face, ideally with a pump, and then they can't clear your board. All right, we've talked a lot about how to put somebody in check. Now, how do we get out of check if someone puts us there? One of the things we can do is play these 2-for-1 bombs, things that shut down multiple cards and multiple arenas. I think Devastator is one of the absolute best ways to get out of check. It can nuke anything on any side of the battlefield, like the arena or the ground arena or space arena, and it presents a 10/10 sentinel in space, something that's really hard to get through. It's hard to kill, and not only that, but then it starts clocking our opponent. It puts them in check ultra fast. Just 1 or 2 hits from the Devastator should end it. Super Laser Blast is obviously a classic one. Any defeat all units kind of card is great at getting you out of check. It doesn't matter how many arenas they're in. There's how many guys they have. As long as they don't have Chewbacca or the Phantom, the TIE Phantom, you're doing okay. U-Wing Reinforcement is a great one for hero control, where you can play like a 4-cost Sentinel, like a Bright Hope and an Echo-based Defender, or a Village Protectors and a Conquer Dawn Interceptor. So you can get blocking going in both arenas. So U-Wing is a great card for that. And then, of course, Overwhelming Barrage, one of the ultimate damage AoE cards in the game. It allows you to sort of set up kills wherever you need them. And then, honestly, like if you have a Sentinel, you can barrage into the other arena, clear that out, and then present a huge attacker or a huge blocker for anyone in the current arena. So I think the number one way to get out of check is play decks with these 2-for-1 bombs. Obviously, a lot of these come in like blue-green control shells, but there are plenty of red cards. You could play things like Bombing Run. There's cards like Evacuate. Cunning can be a card like this that taps down and bounces and really gets you out of trouble. So there's a lot of different things you can do. The next thing you can do is just trade out units. If you're worried about getting in check, your life total's precarious. You want to kill as many things as you can without dying back. I tried to talk about this a little, probably poorly in the first half of the video, but you're killing things and leaving a body behind so that it can ideally kill a second thing. This is why I play like shielded units in my Anakin deck, right? So I can use Anakin's buff attack to kill one thing, and then the next turn I can kill another thing. Leaving behind that extra body means you're getting 2-for-1s. You're killing 2 of their cards for 1 of yours. And then going along with trading out units, saving your removal, building a board, allowing you to not fall into these positions where your opponent has too many units out and you can't kill them all because you're stuck with just removal in hand. You want to have some mix of a board and events in hand that can either like bounce, like a waylay, or maybe a no good to me dead, maybe even a pump. To get into them, you want to buy time until you can get to your outs. You want to do as much controlling as you can to get to that late game to get out of check. All right, my friend Grimtosh and I have 4 things for you to remember when thinking about putting someone into or getting out of check. Number 1, buff your attacks. Ideally, you're perma buffing them, or you're leaving a body behind that creates even more attack value. Second, hit face, attack the base. The sooner you can get that damage on, the sooner you can end the game. Put them in check as quickly as possible. Make sure you're doing it safely. They're not killing your guys for free. You're not punting your whole board to do it. Complete your systems check. At the start of every turn, think about it. How much damage can your opponent do to you? How much damage can you do to them? How much can you stop? How much can they stop? This is an important part of every turn. You don't want to take too long to do it, but you do want to be aware of where your life total sits and where their life total sits so you can get them into check quicker. Finally, set the board for checkmate. Don't destroy your board state by letting your opponent trade into all your things without dying back. Set up a board state that allows you to hit face with as many things as possible, put them in a position where they have to claim because they cannot stop you without initiative. All right, that's it for today. I hope this helped you. Even if you knew some of this stuff already, I hope it gave you things to think about as you enter the upcoming PQ season. Maybe you're going to one of the regionals or sectors that's still happening. But think about ways to get to an end state that you can win the game with. Don't just play your cards and hope to figure it out. End the game thoughtfully. Thanks for watching.
Luke, we're gonna have company!
Complete your system check. I completely forgot to talk about this. I'm going to go re-record that slide.